Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views. It's time for our hashtag Africa Focus feature. This is part of the show where we look at some of the biggest stories on the African continent. And this time around, we'll be heading over to the Horn of Africa, where tensions between Ethiopia and neighboring Eritrea have escalated quite sharply. In a dramatic diplomatic move this week, Ethiopia's government has formally accused Eritrea of military aggression, claiming Eritrean forces are operating inside Ethiopian territory and supporting armed groups, charges Asmara has rejected as false and fabricated. Addis Ababa has continued and demanded an immediate withdrawal of Eritrean troops, asserting violations of its sovereignty and territorial integrity, while the long-standing rival has pushed back against accusations and denied any desire to escalate the situation. And this is very, very important because it marks a dramatic reversal in relations between the two nations that once fought a devastating border war in the late 1990s and later briefly aligned during Ethiopia's internal conflicts, only to see peace fry after the end of the Tigray War in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. And there are warnings of a possible armed confrontation at this point, and even a broader conflict that could unfold in that part of the continent. And we'll be unpacking the implications and the politics of the story with Dr. Abdul Karim Elgoni. He's an expert on the African continent and the politics of the Horn of Africa and the regional security dynamics. Dr. Elgoni, welcome to News and Views. Assalamu alaikum. Always a pleasure having you. Jazakallah so much for giving us your time.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for handling the issues of the Horn of Africa.
No, the pleasure's all ours. And I think we'll jump right into it. We'll start with the basics. Ethiopia has come out and accused Eritrea of military aggression and of supporting armed groups on its territories. Eritrea has called these accusations false and fabricated. From your perspective, how do you analyze this exchange of allegations between the two countries, and what does it tell us about the state of relations between these two neighbors, considering the history that they have?
You see, to be very frank with you, this issue is really very heartbreaking. Just a few years back, Abiy Ahmed, the president of Ethiopia, has been given the Nobel Prize for ending a long civil war between the two sisterly countries, and now again it is erupting. The issue of Ethiopia and Eritrea is a very old issue, since both of the Ethiopian people in government now were fighting together with Eritrean EPLF, fighting against the communist government in Ethiopia. Now they have separated into two countries. There is a small area that is bordering in the east of Eritrea. That this is just a mountainous area that doesn't have anything in it. But Ethiopia is claiming it is part of it and not part of Eritrea. It was a reason for some fights some time ago. Now it is erupting again. And when these accusations happen, it is not easy to fix it on who is the perpetrator, because there are so many Tigrayans who are part of Ethiopia. And there are also Tigrayans who are Eritreans. And they are all related to each other, and they have been fighting with each other as comrades for years. So if someone from inside Ethiopia did something for the sake of Eritrea, it will look like it is Eritrea that is doing something against Ethiopia. So it's not very easy to differentiate. But I agree with you, this is a war that is not needed. We already have our bowl full of wars in Somalia, in Sudan, in Libya, and we don't want an additional one. I think this thing must be settled as soon as possible, and those accusations must stop.
There are talks of a risk of escalation of some sort. There are reports of troops that are mobilizing on the borders, and accusations of incursions. At what point do you think this stops being rhetoric, it stops being conversation, and risks spilling over into open military confrontation? And what would the immediate consequences for the Horn of Africa, the region, be? Because Eritrea and Ethiopia are very, very important within the Horn of Africa region.
We all pray that it will never be an all-out war. This is one. Two, we think there are outside fingers in those wars that are in the region. Although we always say if there wasn't a problem internally, the external forces will not fight opportunity. So the opportunity is already there. As you know, for example, for the war of Sudan, the government of Sudan always says Eritrea is standing by the government of Port Sudan, while Ethiopia is neutral and is not standing with the government of Port Sudan. And if it's not standing with the government of Port Sudan, it means it is anti to the government of Port Sudan. And this might be a factor because there are thousands of Eritreans who are fighting on the side of the army during this war in Sudan. Many of them were captured and presented, although the government claims those were not Eritreans. But this is what people are saying. So people are saying maybe the fingers of the government of Sudan might be there. There is also the issue of Israel's role in the area. Israel of late, as you know, have recognized Somaliland as a sovereign country, and this is creating problems for Ethiopia in a way, because if that happens, then allowed, then there are a number of Ethiopian regions that would claim the same in Afar, in this. So there are a number of problems that are in this. We hope that this will not be an all-out war, because already Eritrea has its hands full. They need development. There is already development that has happened in Ethiopia, and it went very far, putting Ethiopia as the best growing country in Africa. We don't want to lose all those successes because of a small land that is claimed by this country or the other.
You mentioned something very, very important. The fact that there could be some foreign actors, there could be some foreign influences that want to spark this war. Who might they be, and what interest do they have vested in the two countries, and why would they want to see them go into war?
You see, the war business is very high in the international agenda. Everyone wanted to sell armaments, and it is becoming a big business. There are so many people who will only survive if someone is buying arms from them. I can mention a few of them, but at least for us, we know that there are countries from China to Turkey to Iran to Israel to some European countries. All of them wanted war one way or another, and they come with a human rights issue. They say, hey, it is your right to fight. We will help you to fight well. Buy arms from us. So there are a number of them. This is one. Two, the area itself has never been calm for a long time. There is always something that flares up, a new fight between one country and the other. And this war between Ethiopia and Eritrea was celebrated in 2018, when at last Abiy Ahmed recognized Eritrea as a country and said, I am not taking that territory from you. And people were very happy about it. But again, as you can see, it's flared up now, most probably because of what is happening in Sudan itself, because there are so many Eritreans who are fighting in Sudan, and the Eritreans on both sides are there. So arms can move from the Eritreans of Ethiopia to the Eritreans of Eritrea, and something can happen. There are other tribal conflicts, especially with the Amhara on the eastern part of Sudan or the western part of Ethiopia, who are also have arms and they have been fighting for a long time. So there are a number of opportunities for people who are looking for an to put their fingers in the war in the Horn of Africa, and it is very easy for someone. We can't pinpoint one country or the other, but the opportunities are there for many people who have interest in that area of Africa.
I know we, mentioned these organizations quite a lot, but it almost feels like at this point they've become quite useless. Bodies like the African Union, which are very, very important when it comes to almost being mediators in these kinds of conflicts, or at least they should be mediators in these kind of conflicts. Do you see them play any role? The African Union, are they still an effective body that, as Africans, can look to try and find solutions for African problems? I mean, I think it was quite recently where the situation out between Kenya, the DRC, and Rwanda was essentially solved in the United States of America, and the African Union, was nowhere to be seen. Are these kind of organizations like the African Union, like the UN, still the ones we can look to for solutions if issues like these do arise?
You see, we still need the African Union. They can still bring out a statement. They can create opportunity for the fighting parties to meet face to face and talk to each other, even in Ethiopia. But truly, the African Union doesn't have a teeth; it doesn't bite, so it doesn't frighten anyone to come to a solution for the thing. But we need it, not only the African Union, but also we need the IGAD. The IGAD actually is a small branch of the African Union that is focusing on countries of the conflict in the Horn of Africa. And we need it also to get involved. But it seems that those problems, because of the international fingers in it, sometimes the solution is not always internally. The final touch, for a solution must come from someone outside who can tick the box. So this is one problem that we are having, and we hope this time it will work for both countries, because we really need them to solve the problems without war. War has never solved any problem in Africa. It's always, whatever war that has happened was always settled on the negotiation table. And we hope that both Eritrea and Ethiopia will sit also on the negotiation table and solve this problem amicably. We need development. We don't need loss of war, loss of development. Schools will be closed, hospitals will be health deteriorating, and the impacts of war on the African countries are innumerable. And we hope that people will come to their senses both in Ethiopia and Eritrea, and that friendly countries around the area would help both countries to settle this peacefully without war.
I think we're going to leave it on that, Dr. Abdul Karim Elgoni. Always a pleasure having you on Salam Media. Jazakallah so much for giving us your time.
Barakallah fikum. Thank you very much, and we hope that we handle those issues until peace prevails in Sudan, in Eritrea, Ethiopia, and in other African countries. Thank you very much.
Inshallah, I mean, Jazakallah so much, Dr. Abdul Karim Elgoni, helping us navigate the complex and I think at this point dangerous escalations between Ethiopia and Eritrea. It's becoming a diplomatic blame game, eh? Territorial accusations. You took my land, you're encroaching on my borders, and it risks, a full-blown out war, and this is something that we don't want to see. I was doing a bit of research and I was reading on the war in the late 90s between the two countries, and it was brutal. Thousands of people died. The Horn of Africa in itself, it's a region that has been scarred by years of conflict. I mean, you think about the late 90s when that Eritrea, a war with Ethiopia started and ultimately leading up to 2023 in the conflicts that ensued in the Tigray region, it's a really, really big concern. And I think it's a situation that none of us want to see happen. But I think, yeah, very, very important insights there from Dr. Abdul Karim Elgoni. We're going to continue to be following the situation out in the Horn of Africa. It's a very, very important part of the continent. The headquarters of the AU are there. And yeah, we'll see if, we can get someone who's there to give us some insights on what's really happening on the ground. Otherwise, this has been our hashtag Africa Focus feature. And we've come to the end of today's edition of News and Views. Thank you so much for staying with us for the past 2 hours. I'll be back with you again tomorrow for the Wednesday edition of News and Views. If you missed any of our interviews, you can head over to our Spotify channel. Just search at Salam Media and you'll find all of the interviews that we have podcasted, ready and packaged for you on that platform. Or you can head over to our various social media platforms. You can go to our Facebook channel, YouTube channel, or our Twitter, or formerly Twitter, now X page. And you can also follow and and interact with all of the stories that we've had. Otherwise, head over to our website, www.salammedia.com, and you can get to know what we're all about, what we do, some of the articles that have been written and curated by a wonderful online team. And yeah, you can be part of the hashtag humanitarian journalism journey, be part of the platform, support it, and be a part of it. Otherwise, from myself, Salailo Makwidiri, and everyone that made today's show a possibility, thank you so much. We'll be back with you again tomorrow. It's Sharp Sharp.